I
The
got somebody I can
Dolphins
lean
get
on.
smoked against
Yeah.
the Colts. I think this game is more about like Tua and Mike McDaniels. Like they both might be the scapegoats on the team this year because I don't really like the roster. I don't really know what direction they're headed in. But being, you're worse than New England Patriots and you're worse than New York Jets, at least for what we can see in week one. But they don't look like they even have a chance this year with Tua at quarterback. We obviously know what they look like when they don't have him. I just want to know if this is the final year for Tua, or is this the final year for Mike McDonald, or is this the final year for both?
So I'm looking, I was trying to find the quote. I don't remember exactly who said it, but Asante Samuel mentioned something about things he was hearing and called the Miami Dolphins, like the way they run things, like a little league team. They
Sure.
did a scrimmage with another team, and I think it was a linebacker.
Oh,
Someone
a
else was
joint
like,
practice.
yeah, joint practice, and they said like we don't know what those guys are up to, and it's like that's a weird thing to say about an NFL team because you think they're the most buttoned up. Doesn't matter what organization it is, you think
Every
that they
team
have
has an identity of some
at
sort. Yeah,
something,
very
and so you
minimum.
go out and you get embarrassed by Daniel Jones and the Colts offense, which we didn't expect that much from. I
Right.
don't like so. I think the Mike McDaniel's thing is probably run its course. He's probably out of there. I think that it's been said that guys don't totally respect him, and I don't know what it is. If it's
Well,
like
yeah, I'm
his
hearing
weird
stories
quirky.
about like I think it kind of starts with the best player stuff. Like a Tyreek Hill doesn't really respect your head coach. I think guys are just gonna kind of fall in line with it. You like they're so. I mean, I'm hearing stories about them finding guys for not showing up to meetings and guys just not even caring.
Not caring.
Like it gets to that point. It's kind of like as an owner, as a general manager, you're just gonna have to get the bad energy out of the room. And I really do
Yeah.
feel for somebody like Tyreek Hill who he won his championship, so I can't really feel bad for him and went to Miami for the money. And obviously they've done what they've done since. I could very well expect to see him back in KC at some point. But you letting Daniel Jones go 22 for 29. I mean, he hadn't looked that good in years.
Which that could just be that at New York it just wasn't the right fit. We see that all at Sam Darnold last year.
That's
Geno
true.
Smith finally gets his spot, like Baker Mayfield gets his shot. So like it could be a fit thing. I think that the Miami Dolphins just we've seen now. Here's the thing to juxtapose this whole thing. 2 seasons ago they put up 70 on the Broncos. So it's like what how do you deteriorate that fast? Like as an organization, and that just comes down to the coach not having control of the room or just not knowing how to discipline guys enough to make sure that they are in line.
Right.
Now to be fair, that roster isn't good and they were not going to be good this year. But not being good and not being competitive are two different things. And I
Yeah.
got Tua for like 22 yards in the first half or something. And I'm not a big Tua hater. I think he's a little small. I think he
Mhm.
like doesn't play in the cold very well, which is pretty typical. But like that's not a guy that's going to put the team on his back and lead you to wins. And Mike McDaniels kind of needs that, and he doesn't have it, and so he's probably out of here. And he'll be a great OC hire for a team that won 8 or 9 games, and they'll pop and win 12 to 13 games the next year. I don't doubt that.
Right. Raiders beat the Patriots 20-13. Geno Smith has like weirdly established himself again as like a franchise quarterback. I know his age is a little bit up there, but like 24 for 34, 362 yards, a TD, one INT. He clearly outplays Drake May, which we'll talk about the sophomore slump with a couple of guys coming up this episode. But Drake May, 30 for 46, 287 yards, TD and INT. They're high draft pick Travion Henderson out of Ohio State only had 5 carries for 27 yards. My biggest takeaway really is if the Raiders are gonna be good, then that just raises the floor of what the AFC West can actually look like. We talk about the best division in the NFL all the time. Who is it? What is it? The NFC West had its run for a couple of years. Obviously, with the Chiefs being really good, you could say the AFC West just because the Chiefs were so good. But now I really do think that the AFC West might have four really competitive teams, with obviously the Chargers beating the Chiefs out in Brazil. Justin Herbert looked as great as he's ever looked. I think this division has a chance to be really, really good this year. And hopefully Brock Bowers' knee injury isn't too serious because if the Raiders are good, that means that the floor of the NFL has been lifted a notch at least.
Well, we can pump the brakes a little bit on the Raiders and how good they are. The Patriots, like to be truthful, that last year Bill Belichick, well, probably 2 last years he was there, and then Gerard Mayo and that experiment, and now it's Mike Vrabel. They're not a good football team. They don't have the guys, and Drake May is probably not an NFL starting quarterback. Like it's just certain guys are going to work out, certain guys aren't. He's guys probably not going to work out, and
You
so
don't think so?
I don't. I haven't seen anything yet where I'm like.
I
He
feel like
could be
his
a
rookie year,
dude.
he showed enough to where like, okay, this guy can be our starter, and so he proves that he's not.
So maybe, maybe, but where he doesn't have weapons. So we'll talk about the Broncos and
Bo
Titans in a
Nix.
little bit. But I'll watch what Cam Ward did, and I'll go, oh shit! Like he has no weapons. Guys dropping the balls left and right, and that's a dogfight. They even cover. We'll get there, but I don't see the same thing from Drake May. I think when you've got this quarterback class is coming out, like, and there's some dudes in there. I think you've got an opportunity to maybe grab one of them and like it's a real quarterback battle. Maybe that does help Drake May like get to his potential, or maybe he doesn't. I don't know, but I'm not looking at the Patriots and saying they have a franchise quarterback they got to build around him. He's not that guy to me.
Damn.
Now, what I do see with Geno Smith is, well, that guy, he can fit in almost any system. And really, the story I think is Pete Carroll and just how the guy is freaking ancient, but
That's
he's the
true.
youngest guy in the room everywhere he goes. And his charisma and belief and the positive attitude he has just follows
It
him to a
carries
new
over for
organization.
sure.
Like it
Yeah.
just so much fun. And so you have, Tom Brady's a partial owner, and like there's just a lot of really cool momentum with the Raiders. And so
Mhm.
regardless of how they play out. Like we'll see what the season holds for them. They're just gonna be a fun story and a fun team to watch.
You know, you make a good point because a lot of these franchises in the NFL, you can kind of like in a way where Alabama, Saban leaves and you see the dip, not only in like the intensity, but like the effort. And I think a lot of that is coaching and guys, really wanting to make that extra play or for the guy next to them, but also the coaching staff. I think it's just one of those things that's very underrated when it comes to just team sports in general. That no matter how old your head coach is, or what experience he's had, if he's able to come in and motivate a bunch of younger guys that are three, four, five generations younger than him, then you're going to have something special. I think if Pete Carroll was coaching basketball, he'd probably be successful at that too. Like if he was a
Yeah.
baseball manager, he'd probably have guys dialed in for a longer part of the season. Like I think he's just one of those guys who he's just a very good culture setter and he knows how to really operate a room full of grown men and he just does it really well.
He does, and I think your quarterback being Geno Smith helps, and I think Max Crosby being ex drug addict, like these so many guys in the room have been places, had success, and then now they've been to places where it's like it's horrible and you don't want to go back. And now it's kind of like
Yeah.
we're just grateful for the opportunity. You put a bunch of those guys in the room, it's hard to miss meetings and be late, and it's hard not to max out for that guy. And I look at Gino and he's gonna get the ball out. And so your receivers play hard, your offensive line plays great. You have Ashton Genty. He'll come into his own eventually. I'm not really
Right.
worried about him right now. He slipped on the field. He had a big could have had a big run, but whatever. So that's a team where again, a lot of fun. They could beat any team on any given Sunday, and I won't be surprised if they do end up getting the Chiefs one time or they get the Broncos one
Right.
time. Like
Yeah.
that shouldn't be
Mhm.
unexpected with the Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, Max Crosby team.
Very, very good point. Buccaneers, Falcons, which was a great game, and that early slate, Baker Mayfield, who is like a dark horse, I want to say dark horse MVP candidate, but could just be a dark horse candidate to get his team really far into the playoffs. He goes
Mhm.
17 for 32, 167 yards, three touchdowns. He obviously had the touchdown to Egbuka with a minute left, who looked amazing as well. I mean, you heard the stuff about him in camp. You heard that from day one that he was one of the better receivers on the roster and that he's ready to go right now.
Right.
Scored two touchdowns as a receiver in the NFL in your very first game.
Yeah.
Ain't really much else I have to say about it. I don't really care how many yards you have. Um, to me, Michael Penix going 27 for 42. He looks the part. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people had questions about him coming into the league. He comes from Indiana to Washington, has really good success at Washington, but they really drafted him to be the backup to Kirk Cousins. And maybe that timeline has been expedited because one, Kirk Cousins' health, two, Kirk Cousins just not being that good anymore. But Penix has played his way into being this team starting quarterback for years to come. I like he can play just like this. Falcons don't really make the playoffs, or maybe they do. And he's gonna get an extension because he looks the part, and he's just one of those guys where you've put him right in. He's at the maturity now where he knows how to handle himself, and you have that piece set in stone. You have Bijan Robinson, who had the first touchdown of the entire season on that screen pass. You have pieces, and I
Yeah.
really would like to see Atlanta in these next couple of weeks take advantage of, the NFC South just not being that great again. You had the Saints who looked piss poor. You had Carolina Panthers who looked piss poor. You know, that's a divisional game in the first week, and
Yeah.
you're toe to toe with what would be the best team in your division. So,
Yeah. They've won it
Penix
back to
second year
back.
guy. Yeah,
And I
exactly.
look at uh Michael Penix, and coming out of college, he was a guy where I'm like, I don't know why people would pass on this guy. Like he can clearly play. He's very accurate. He's very accurate downfield, and he can sling it, and he reads the field well. And so I'm looking at a guy like that, thinking, of course he's going to have success in the NFL. The thing that I think was interesting is there were two different plays specifically where he dove for a first down, could have been touchdown, but was a little short, and then got a touchdown scrambling. So he ended up with two total touchdowns.
Right.
I believe no turnovers, and he ended up having 300 and something total yards. That guy's is like the first day one starter of being the starter of this entire team for probably the entire season. And so he plays fantastic. He's playing so good. Kyle Pitts might hit his potential. Like that's just the kind of thing that you're seeing on the other side.
Yeah.
A fun stat about Baker is that he's been in the league 8 years and he's had 8 different offensive coordinators, a new OC every year, and some of that is like firing in the middle of the year or whatever.
Right.
But you look at that and you think like, how resilient can a guy be? How good of a learner and like I guess like a student of the game do you have to be to go through that much change and still be as effective as you are? Now he's got again Ibuka from Ohio State. Like, again, why would you not go to Ohio State if you're a 4 or 5 star recruit? Like you just get in the room. But you look at it, he has pieces, he has a talent. Like Todd Bowles can coach his ass off. Like
Yeah.
he's good.
Absolutely.
So I mean, they'll probably win the division again, but it'll just be because Michael Penix is inexperienced. Next year, like
Right.
that's a different conversation. Like that, this is a real team. They got real talent.
Definitely. Quarterbacks making their debut, Cam Ward against second year starter Bo Nix. Cam Ward, 12 for 28, 112 yards. I think he played a lot better than the box score would admit. Bo Nix, 25 for 40, 176 yards, a touchdown and 2 picks. Played about a little bit worse than even those stats
I agree with that.
would lead on, do you believe? Bo Nix, really bad first half, and then comes out in the second half and has that pick that was just like, as a pro quarterback, that's like not even pass that you're supposed to make. That was like something that, as a Jets fan, I'm used to seeing like someone like Zach Wilson do, or like
Yeah.
Sam Darnold when he first got in the league, just kind of like seeing ghosts, just throwing the ball wherever, not thinking that guys are like actually like fast enough in the
Should
league.
have
I
had
don't
more
know.
than 2 picks. It should have been
He
like
should have
three.
had about 3 or 4. And the thing is about quarterback position is that in that first game when the bullets are flying, you're playing at a different speed than you're used to in camp. But
Okay.
Bo Nix, who has been heralded as this like Sean Payton prodigy or protege or whatever, he's supposed to be like a mobile Drew Brees or whatever the hell people were thinking of what was going to happen. A lot of people just expected the Broncos just to be so good that they might just knock off the Chiefs. Well, 20-12 against the Titans in a season where the Titans are not expected to be anything worth a damn. It kind of just, I mean, the first down count for Denver was 20, Tennessee 7. And so for you to only win that game by 8 points, it's a lot of it's a lot on Bo Nix. And I think that you can really only look at Bo Nix as an individual and say, hey, we need more out of you. You're a second year guy. That's great. But this defense is ready. And I think a lot of young quarterbacks are going into situations where like the rest of the team might be ready for a long playoff push or a Super Bowl, but the quarterback has to keep up. And that's Denver in a nutshell. That defense is probably going to be top 3, top 2 defense all season. Pastor Tan, he fucking around and might win defensive player of the year again. And
Yeah,
so
he's a demon.
he's I mean, he's better than Sauce Gardner by a lot. And it's like that's very hard to do. A guy like Sauce Gardner who was first team all pro for his first 2 years. Passer Tan and that defense, I mean, they're gonna be competitive, but is Bo Nix gonna be able to essentially just not have the sophomore slump and keep this team away from where they should be?
So there, I guess there's so many things about Denver and this game in general. Because if you strip off the names on the players, you just watch them play, you'd probably say Cam Ward was a better quarterback with lesser weapons this game,
Oh, some of
and
those
he played
drops that
better.
were out there, Calvin really dropping the
Yeah,
ball like he's young. I mean, he had that one pass and they were down. What was it, like a minute left or 2 minutes
yeah.
left? And he threw that same pass. It was amazing. Threw it left his hand. I was like, wow, great throw. And Calvin really just drops it. It's like, I mean, what do you want
Yeah.
Cam Ward to do at that point?
So he has he and it's like it's weird because I don't want to say generational, but when you look at a guy's first start and he looks that comfortable,
You,
it's
you
like
could tell. You could tell this guy belongs. This is a guy. Like this is our guy. It does not take long to see what an NFL quarterback is supposed to look like. It
some
really doesn't.
guys just play the sport at a different pace. And you've seen this, you play college basketball, you've seen this, I've seen it. Certain guys just you can't speed them up. They're not
Right.
rattled. They don't get nervous. They just play the game the way they've been taught to play the game. They just do it. And he's one of them. So he's just going to be a lot of fun to watch. Hopefully he can get some weapons the next 2 years. I look at Bo Nix and I don't always, I'm not quick to blame the quarterback always, only because I did play the position number one. But number two, when I see guys who are like lesser talented, like play better, I think the coach is just doing too much. And I wonder if Sean Payton can like always put together a really good defense because he's just a football savant.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's like, is this off? Like, you're doing too much with Bo Nix. Like, settle the, just like we talked about Bo Perbula, both Bows at Mizzou. It's like, let him settle down. Why is he throwing the ball 40 times a game against the Tennessee
Right.
Titans? They're not great at all. We
Right.
all know
Come
that.
on.
The
Yeah.
spread was 9 points, and they covered the spread. So it's like, well, I don't even understand this. So like, let's bring it down a second. Run the ball, play complementary football. Bo Nix played well last year because they didn't ask him to do anything. It's like, hey, play action, hit this over the top pass across the middle, like let him run for 20 yards. Just has to look great. They didn't ask him to do a whole lot, and now they're like, we want to be a Super Bowl team, which they have the defense to do, which is like typical like Bronco defense. But you can't like it has to be a Trent Dilfer type situation, then it has to be a Peyton Manning type situation when
Mm.
it comes to the Denver Broncos and just what they're looking like. So I don't think Bo can be the guy to carry them. He will be carried all the way through.
I mean, you make a good point. I mean, a lot of that game, the Broncos were losing. Like, it
Yes.
literally, you watching the game, it's like, wow, the Titans are gonna win against the Broncos in week one. Like, you kind of just were waiting for the Titans to turn into the Tennessee Titans, and then the cream rises to the crop. Obviously, the Broncos are just gonna make those plays on defense to give the offense the ball back, and then Bo Nix did go 25 for 40. Like I said, I hate when QBs in the NFL throw for 40 passes in a game that either one doesn't go into overtime or two, you're not having to like come back in and
Or
throw
yeah,
like
or
20.
score 30 plus points. We
Right.
talked about, Pete Carroll and Geno Smith and Max Crosby. Cam Ward might be a guy like that too, where it's like he walks in the room, you trust him, you like him, and that's guy's going to be leading your team. And so it just you kind of go quarterback for quarterback, and I don't think Cam Ward's going to get outplayed a whole lot across the league with the schedule that they have. And so it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. But I think the Broncos have to sit back and check and say, okay, we're not as good as we thought we were. And we have to bring things down, simplified on the offensive side, because again, I can't have my second, year guy who I never really liked in college anyway. So I'm like not, I root for him, but like whatever. I don't know
Mhm.
that he's going to be the guy that you can throw and say, hey, here's the ball 40 times, make the right decision.
Right.
Like he should have had 4 picks.
Right.
It
And who knows
really
what the
should have
game
been
looks like
three.
with those actual turnovers. Yeah.
So like you could have lost the game being way too arrogant as Sean Payton and the head coach, which like he's known to do. That's his style. But they got to rein it in for sure.
Yeah. And like I said, the biggest stat for me was Denver 20 first downs to Tennessee 7. And they only won the game by 8 points. There's
Yeah.
a lot to look back on and see what you did wrong.